The G-Wolf's HTR is super unique. It's been in my rotation for the last month and I have studied it quite a bit. The mouse is in no way practical or really something I would dub as main worthy, but damn is it really fun to use. Firstly, it's in no way a big mouse or even a small mouse. It's genuinely just tiny with a very unique shape, kind of resembling a strawberry. And the community pushed that naming scheme so much to the point where they made berry colorways. But I digress. The shape is more V-like, which made me initially think it would be a bigger mouse with G-Wolf's take on an egg-shaped mouse that fills up the center of the palm, instead to let the sides of the hand slightly wrap around it. I was off, but also not by that much. The mouse is obviously made for fingertipping, but if you have average or smaller hands, you can comfortably knuckle claw it by retracting the mouse into the base of the palm, having the fingers basically at the front of the mouse. My hands are fairly bigger, so it does get awkward playing like this. The biggest issue with that playstyle would be the inability to use the side buttons and also the scroll wheel. They'd just be too far and difficult to reach towards. Fingertipping on the other hand is obviously the easiest route, of course. You can still make use of the side buttons and scroll wheel, but it does have its own fair share of things I'd like to address. So early last year I had my video out on the HSK Pro 4K, and it was also an interesting mouse, but issues from then still remain in this case. The side buttons aren't practical by any means. Firstly, it's going to be the location. They sit too far backwards and I find myself sometimes fat fingering or just scrambling around to find the correct button to click, as I have my M5 set to abilities and M4 set to melee. Second is their size, also pretty impractical. They're too tiny and also too close to each other. But like I said, if they were further forward it would be more usable. Third is the situation of instability. When you reach the back to hit those side buttons, it causes a moment of instability when you release your finger off the side, creating an inconsistent glide. Then actuating the side button introduces another bit of inconsistency when applying pressure from the side. The clicks themselves are pretty solid, pretty light, spammable and nicely tuned. The main clicks on the other hand are a bit of a different story. These are nicer feeling with them using a very low profile M1 and M2 with a decent groove for fingertips, paired with the 10 blue shell pink dots for registered clicks up to 80 million clicks. They do have a smidge of pre-travel. The post-travel on the other hand does have a bit of longer travel time. I do notice it very slightly, but it doesn't take away from the spammability of the clicks. The scroll wheel is also pretty small. It does protrude the slightest bit too much, which is a bit more of a nitpick, as I feel it does take a bit more effort to get my finger to flick onto it, causing a small hindrance. It's lightly coated in rubber and also has a softer but tactile steps and bit of a stiffer middle button. The shell on the other hand lacks coating, having a smooth raw plastic. It can be combated by use of dry air foam or regular grip tape. The ones included aren't bad, but on the slightest bit of a thicker style. In theory you could also just stack them to widen the shape. Leading into the last thing I'd really like to talk about, just the general experience with this small mouse. For the last month I've dedicated myself to using fingertipping on the HTR for majority of my gameplay between it and the Viper V3 Pro or my Touchy on every other occasion. It's been a roller coaster, considering the weight of the mouse is as little as it is. Adapting to it after not using my Zero mouse since February has been pretty difficult. I don't have the most stable aim by any means, but the mouse being that light at 28 grams amps that up by quite a bit, seeing as you don't really have any weight to create stability, and even more so on glass pads. That being said, there have been a few instances where the HTR really helped me with hitting higher scores on Kovac, or even better shots and tracking on FPSs. So I perform better but also perform worse. It's pretty weird. The shape is a fair bit smaller for my taste, but that's just what the G-Wolf's brand is all about, focusing on the niche of small mice and fingertipping, and I do think they're doing pretty good. At the end of the day, the mouse will not be something I could main, because I do need that extra bit of weight in the mid-40s range and a bit of a bigger shape to feel more comfortable. But even so, I'm not writing this mouse off completely. Just like the Zero mouse, I can see myself revisiting it every other day just for some unhinged fun. The only thing that makes it a bit of a tougher recommendation is going to be the price. Coming in at $150 US. I do get that it is a bit more of a niche product, but I do prefer us getting the mouse as it is with the carrying case and a couple of accessories and calling it a day, maybe at $100 US. But hey, that's all for today guys. Thanks for watching, take care and